Welcome everybody. I'm going to be talking about Roselia and Roserade. These guys have some really awesome changes. So first things first, there are a lot of other grass poison types, so I did have to keep those in mind when buffing these guys. Because in this hack, I want everything to stand apart from each other. You know, I don't want anything to outclass one another. That even goes for the pre-evolution. So even Roselia and Roserade, I want it to be different Pokemon, like functionality-wise. And I think I succeeded very well in that. I'm very happy with how they turned out. The other grass poisons are Venusaur, Mega Venusaur, Vileplume, Amoonguss, and Victreebel. And all of those have their, actually, this is the, besides Amoonguss, this is the last one for a while until we get to Unova, so you can check out all the other videos for those guys on my channel. Another thing I want to mention before I get into this is that if you are new here, hello, welcome. I implore you to check out the description down below. There is a very detailed link to a Google Sheet where I fully list out all of these changes and buffs and all of the move changes. Basically, every single move is changed. There's 130 plus new moves, 25 custom new abilities, all kinds of really cool stuff. So I would definitely check all that out in the description down below to, get a little bit of background information if you want, or you can feel free to just listen and learn as you go. Either one is fine. So that being said, Roselia and Roserade. So if I had to sum this up shortly, I would say Roserade has incredible Technician options. Roselia and Roserade both have incredible Serene Grace options. And then Roselia is a great solar power abuser. I basically designed Roselia to be a more bulky Eviolite Pokemon that can still be very strong and offensive, while Roserade is purely offensive with good special defense, of course, still. But it's actually a very good mix attacker. And in this ROM hack, you not only have access to an infinite use ability capsule, so you should be cycling between Serene Grace and Technician or Serene Grace and Solar Power, depending on the occasion. You can also use that to change up your EV spreads. Not the ability capsule, of course, but you have a lot of freedom with your EV spreads, so you can run physical for one boss fight and special for the next boss fight. I also made Roserade have a much higher physical attack stat, purely because if you read the Pokedex entries, all of them talk about how Roserade is using physical attacks. It uses poison whips on its arms to poison bind, and actually I should probably give them Wrap and Constrict 35. Ugh, there's no room for it though. It's such a shame. I want Technician, Wrap, and Constrict. Those are both grass and poison type 60 base power trapping moves. That'd be really cool. But there's literally no room unless I deleted like Clear Smog and Acid Spray, but I'll figure it out after the video. They might have those instead, which are, I mean, honestly, you don't really need them. You got Bar Barrage and all this other good stuff, so actually I probably won't put them there. It would be really cool with like the buffed Black Sludge and like Spiky Shield though, because Black Sludge heals slightly more than Leftovers now, which is really cool, but it's whatever. So yeah, as you read these dex entries, you can see like, oh, both hands can jab with near fatal power. It strikes with whips that are densely lined with poison thorns, etc., etc. The poison in its right hand is quick acting, blah, blah, blah. So you can see here that Roserade should actually be a pretty strong physical attacker. I wanted to go with even higher physical attack, but I feel like people might think it's weird, so I opted for 95. Otherwise, I would have done like, I don't know, maybe 100. But honestly, I don't have to base that total points for that anyway, so it's fine. 95 attack is great because I gave them physical options much earlier, and they also have stuff like Swords Dance, which they don't, they don't have Nasty Paw, but they do have Swords Dance. So they get a lot of really great physical Technician options. So I'm actually going to cover those first, and then I'm going to cover. So here's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to talk about Serene Grace. Sorry, I'm going to talk about Technician with Roserade. All of those options. There is also a very detailed guide down below that you can just click on it, and as you can see here, it'll link you directly to a detailed guide where I list out all the power of all these moves that are Technician boosted in the hack. So you can check this out yourself in the description as well. But I'll be going off this. And then I'll talk about Serene Grace because they have a lot of incredible Serene Grace options as well. And then I'll talk about Solar Power is very self-explanatory on Roselia, honestly, so I'll just quickly mention it now. It's a great ability, very powerful, 90 base speed, 100 base special attack, Solar Power, Solar Beam, Solar Power Growth. It's really that simple. The Weather Ball, it's a great Pokemon, all right? It's great Solar Power abuser. I give it Solar Power because none of the other grass poisons have Solar Power. Venusaur has Solar Rush, but that doesn't overlap. So Solar Rush, Solar Power, different abilities. So yeah. That being said, yeah, Technician on Roserade. So Technician, Roserade has both incredible physical and special options with Technician. I'm going to cover the physical ones first, but they do get a lot of special options, don't worry. Actually, I'll probably just be covering both because they kind of overlap. So physically, Roserade with Technician has Poison Dart and Seed Shot, both of which are priority moves. It has Bar Barrage, which is overall 90 base power, hits 3 times and always poisons. It has Bullet Seed and Pin Missile, which are very powerful coverage moves, both of which are 25 base power and, 2 to 5 times. That's great with Technician, okay? That can also bypass really good stuff like Sturdy, Focus Sash, etc. That's good for Olivia. Another thing is that I did make it so they will evolve in time for Olivia, most likely, because you might argue, oh my god, well, Roselia is kind of just better because it's not that much weaker and it's a lot bulkier with a Violet, and I would, it's up to you which one you want to use. If you like, for example, if you have like a modest one, I wouldn't bother evolving into Roserade until later, maybe until you need that speed or special attack boost, or if you need Technician. But Roselia is definitely a viable option over Roserade in some situations, especially if you have a Sun team or something. So it's up to you which one you want to use, really. I know a lot of people also prefer Roselia's design to Roserade, so I like how both of them are. It's an option. You get to choose which one you want to evolve into. And another thing is that you can evolve into Roserade whenever you want, but you can't just turn your Roserade back into Roselia, so that's another thing to consider. But yeah, like for example, for Olivia, if you have like a modest one, I probably wouldn't evolve unless you need to outspeed something specific, or if you need Technician boosted moves. Let me get into those now, actually, before I get off topic too much. So Poison Dart, Seed Shot, Bar Barrage, Bullet Seed, Pin Missile. Vine Lashes is insane with Technician. Vine Lashes is a 35 base power move that hits twice and always lowers defense. So that's essentially a 105 base power move that drops your defense stat by the opponent's defense stat by 2. All right, that's insane. Super good. Yeah, that alone justifies the use of its 95 base attack stat over its 125 special attack. That move is insane on it. Super great Vine Lashes right there. Then you get Finishing Blow at 43. That's also amazing. That is effectively 78 base power with Technician, and it always crits. That's including the critical hit base power, of course. And that will give you a +3 attack boost when you knock something out. So that can be great as well. Then they also get stuff like Frenzy Plant a lot earlier than Leaf Storm, but that's not a Technician move. I also gave them stuff like Low Kick, which can technically be Technician boosted. Low Kick and Grass Knot are both physical moves that always lower speed now. So those are great. Those can be good with Technician because it boosts the average power. Say if you use it on a light Pokemon, you'll be getting 40 to 60 base. 60 base power is the minimum now if you use Technician on those. And then 60 goes to 80, and then of course 90, 100, 120 is the power range of that. So it's much higher than 40 and 60 for the low weight classes. Knockoff and Covet are good physical Technician moves as well. Both of those are just good coverage moves. Knockoff is 60, so that goes to 90 always. Covet is 60, goes to 90. That's fairy type, so good coverage there. I think that's it for physical Technician options, actually, which again, that's incredible. Technically, Acrobatics is also Technician boosted. If you're not using an item, although you might want to use an item, but that's a good coverage move for physical sets. Physical sets do overall have better coverage, although you do get some exclusive stuff, especially for example, Psychic and Shadow Ball and stuff. You don't get that specially, and you do have some overlap. Also, Earth Power you don't get physically. Earth Power you don't get physically. Water Pulse, that's another Technician move. Water Pulse. I gave it to them. It's a little bit weird, but I think it fits. Number one, a lot of weird mons just get Water Pulse for no reason. Literally in the last video you saw that Volbeat and Lumise get Water Pulse, so I think it's okay on Roserade. It's a plant. And I also think it fits because they learned Water Sport naturally. So I think Water Pulse for Technician is a good enough justification for that. And that's really good coverage for fire types and other stuff, of course. They do have a great 105 base speed tier as well. Roselia is a little bit slower, but 90 speed is still really good. You can also, you don't have to run a Violate on Roselia. You can always run Specs or Scarf. For example, Scarf Solar Power is a great set. You get that Drought User or that Sunny Day with the Heat Rock. Sunny Day Heat Rock lasts for 10 turns, and you can Parting Shot or U-turn out into your Roselia, or you can use Sunny Day Eject Button or something and get straight into your Roselia and straight up just go to sweeping. Not sweeping necessarily, but doing a lot of damage. You also have stuff like Sleep Powder for setup and Calm Mind, as well as Ingrain earlier in the game. Ingrain is the same as Calm Mind, but it gives you a minus speed debuff, and then it heals you a little bit and it traps you on field. So that's good before you get Calm Mind, or you could actually technically use like White Herb Ingrain as like a gimmicky type deal. If you want that'd be pretty cool because you get the healing and stuff. But anyways, man, yeah, a Violent Roselia is very tanky because 50-50 HP, 50 physical defense is not the greatest, but if you invest in your physical defense and your HP, then you're very tanky physically, and especially you have a naturally very good bulk with 90 base special defense and a Violite. You don't need to invest in that. Obviously, though, you should just be changing your EV spread around depending on the occasion, all right? That's the best option here, is to change your EV spread around. But yeah, as for Technician special moves, you do have Leaf Flurry and Sludge Shot, which are special priority moves for dual stab. And then you have Sludge Fling and Mega Drain. Mega Drain is 60 base power, but it becomes 90 base power with Technician. And I actually made Mega Drain a lot cooler than Giga Drain in some cases, because Mega Drain is weaker than Giga Drain by 15 points, but you actually heal 75% HP from Mega Drain now. So Technician Mega Drain is nutty. Technician Mega Drain is a great move. Sludge Fling is 90 base power and always lower speed by 1 versus Sludge Bomb's 95 base power, so that's good with Technician. What else is there with Technician for special sets? Magical Leaf is incredible. Magical Leaf with Technician always gives you a +1 special defense boost, and that's 90 base power with Technician. Clear Smog is great as well. That's 90 base power overall and reset stat changes, which is good to stop sweeps or versus totem Pokemon and stuff. That's a really good option. You also do get growth at 29, which is pretty early for solar power sets on Roselia, so that's really awesome and powerful. Actually, a little bit too long of a ability name for it. really. That's good enough. Sorry, everybody. So, yeah, then you get Acid Spray, which is incredible with Technician as well. That is 50 base power and drops special defense by 4. So that's extremely powerful with Technician. And that's about it for special Technician options. Of course, Water Pulse as well. And Hidden Power can technically be any type. So that's great as well. That's it for Technician, okay? Incredible ability. Tons and tons of options to abuse with Technician. Really, really cool. Physical moves are better with Technician, but you do get a lot of good special ones as well, so you can use mixed sets with Technician. As for Serene Grace, which is on both Roselia and Roserade. Excuse me, I have to sneeze. Jesus. Okay. So Serene Grace sets are also very good. So Serene Grace, I would sum it up in 3 different categories: stat boosting moves, flinching moves, and then everything else. All right. So the stat boosting moves with Serene Grace, you have Revelation Dance at 52, which is a 90 base power poison type move. I know it says grass poison here, but in the game files they are poison grass, purely just so you can get that poison type Revelation Dance, because Blossom is a pure grass type with Serene Grace, which has grass type Revelation Dance, and then Lilligant will be a dual type Pokemon with its own unique Revelation Dance. So I didn't want those 3 to all have grass type Revelation Dance because that's a little bit boring and kind of creates some overlap there. So I like them all to have unique types. So yeah, Revelation. Not to mention you have special boosting poison moves, grass moves for example with Magical Leaf and Petal Blizzard. So giving a poison boosting move is really cool. So yeah, Revelation Dance with Serene Grace will always boost your special attack stat by 1, and that's a 90 base power stab move. That's incredibly powerful with 105 speed, 125 special attack. Petal Blizzard has a 30% chance to boost all your stats by 1, which is insane, and that's a 105 base power move with 90% accuracy. Again, you can check out all these buffs and changes in the description down below. I would honestly recommend doing that. Highly recommend doing that. So yeah. Signal Beam and Dazzling Gleam and Grass Pledge all have a 50% chance to boost your special attack stat by 1 with Serene Grace, and they all have 80 base power. So that's also very good for the mid game, and just to have in general. That's very, very, very good. And then you have a bunch of moves. So that's all the stat boosting options, I believe, with Serene Grace. Yes. And then you have flinching options. So flinching options, you have Extra Sensory, which has a 60% chance to flinch. And then you have with Serene Grace, of course. And then you have there's one more. I know there's one more. Needle Bash. Needle Bash is a 95 base power, 95% accurate physical grass type move that makes physical Serene Grace sets also very good on Roserade. Seed Bomb and Needle Bash also both have high flinch rates with Serene Grace. Seed Bomb overall has, I believe, a 40 to 50% flinch rate with Serene Grace. I forget if it's 20 or 25 normally. And then obviously Needle Bash is the 60% flinching option, which is insane with your high speed stats. So you can just flinch things down with Needle Bash, which is much stronger than obviously non-step Extra Sensory, despite the fact that your special attack stat is higher. So definitely keep that in mind. That's about it for Serene Grace options. The last tier is moves that drop stats. So those are good. For example, Play Rough has a 100% chance. Oh, there's also poisons. So I'll talk about those also. But what am I trying to say? Play Rough has a 100% chance to drop the opponent's attack stat with Serene Grace, which is great, and that's 110 base power recoil move. Great coverage for physical sets. What else is there? Shadow Ball and Psychic have solid chances to drop special defense, over 50% chance to drop Spadef with Serene Grace, which is good. But your best option to drop stats with Serene Grace is actually Seed Flare. Seed Flare is obviously actually unchanged. I believe it's completely unchanged, which is one of the few moves that's unchanged. It's just given to way more mons now. Basically all special grass types have it. And that's insane because that's a 120 base power, 85% accurate move, which is actually not that crazy in this hack because there's a lot of actually more accurate, stronger moves. For example, even Fire Blast is 90% accurate at 120 base power, that kind of stuff. But I did keep Seed Flare 85 because of the incredible effect of having that 40% chance to drop the opponent's special defense, not by 1, but by 2. So with Serene Grass, that's an 80% chance. That's really, really high and really, really good. So I kind of want to make it a 50 just to have that consistency because you are trading accuracy for the power, but I'll leave it as 40 for now. I think it's fine. I kind of want to make it 50 to make it consistent with Serene Grace because there's 3 Serene Grace Pokemon currently that get that. So I probably will do that as this video. Let me actually make a note for myself. Alright. So that's great with Serene Grace. That's 100% chance to drop Spadef by 2, so that's insane on Serene Grace sets. Even 80% is insane, obviously, it's basically guaranteed, but I just would prefer that to consistency personally. So that's it for Serene Grace, I think. I mean, other than that, you just have Poison Jab, Sludge Bomb, Gunk Shot. For example, Gunk Shot has a 100% chance to poison. Poison Jab and Sludge Bomb have 60% chances to poison, and so on. So that's really good with Technician. Sorry, Serene Grace as well. So that's the abilities pretty much covered, okay? Stats, I think, are covered also very well. Again, pick and choose which one you want to evolve into, pick and choose your movesets, your EV spreads, all that kind of stuff. You can switch those around. So you have a lot of customizability. Also, I forgot, First Impression is also a technician boosted move for Roserade. That is 60 base power, but it always crits, so it's effectively 135 base power with technician. So that's very strong as well. You also get a lot of good boosting options. So like I said, Calm Mind, Sword Dance, Ingrain, Floral Guard is essentially Cosmic Power, which is really nice for like a Violate Roselia especially. That makes you super tanky. Z Powder will negate fire type moves and make the opponent take damage if they use a fire type move on you, which is great. And the Z effect will give you +1 to all your stats, which can be very good for Roserade, especially because it's a mixed attacker. And then, you know, that extra bulk would really help, but you can also use that on Roselia. That's a great boosting option. And then lastly, at level 7, you get Z Mind Reader. The Z Mind Reader will give you a +3 special attack boost. So that is even better than Nasty Plot, although obviously you do have to hold that Z Crystal. So that's insane. And then you can also use Seed Flare after and not miss it, which is pretty cool, or stuff like Focus Blast or other moves, both of which are 85% accurate, so that's pretty cool with Z Mind Reader. They learned Mind Reader before, by the way. If you think it's weird, they already got that move naturally, so... Not naturally, I think it's an egg move or something, but it doesn't matter. It might even not be, but it does not matter. So, yeah, they also get stuff like Spiky Shield, which, like I said, is great. Reason being, they have thorns and whatnot. Even as you read the dex entries, they are roses, they have thorns. And it's a great option with, like, buffed Black Sludge and stuff. And with like Leech Seed. So Badu is actually great for early game for Melee Island because it has the ability Grassy Guard. You can also run some solar power sets because the Sunny Day and Grassy Terrain TMs are both available before the first totem. So you can run solar power sets as a nuke with like Mega Drain. That'd be pretty good for some boss fights, maybe for like one of the Ace Trainers or for How or Dulce. But overall, Grassy Guard would be a better bet overall for the first totem because it gives you residual healing. It gives you a 50% defense boost, which makes you very tanky, especially if you're running defense investment. And then you can use that in conjunction with Leech Seed and Mega Drain and never die, because you get the boost from Terrain, you get the healing from Terrain, you get the Leech Seed. You also have the Protect TM at that point in time, so you can use Protect, Grassy Guard, Leech Seed, Mega Drain, and Grassy Terrain, or set up the Grassy Terrain with somebody else and just completely never die. Obviously, that is a little bit of 4 move slot syndrome. Every Pokemon this hack has very bad 4 move slot syndrome, which is actually intentional because I want people to not only switch their moves around, but also I want people to be very careful with what moves they teach and don't teach via level up. And I want people to be more strategic with the moves that they teach, you know, because there is no relearner until the post game, or actually the Pokemon League, which I like personally. I like it, but I also hate it. Obviously, it's annoying, but I think from a balancing point of view, it's a lot better because if you could reteach moves all the time, it would be kind of broken, and the hack would be a lot easier if you could reteach any move at any time. If you have prep, that would make it very broken. Other than that, that's about it. I mean, they get great physical moves. Again, that Grassy Guard set is great for early game. For totems and stuff, Solar Power is very, 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 very powerful. You know, that growth, Solar Beam, Scarf Solar Beam, whatever you want to run. Again, that switching into your Roselia with the Parting Shot at eject button is really strong. Other than that, it's about it. 105 speed is a very good speed tier. It is a little bit crowded at this point in time, but that's just what it is. I mean, there's 721 Pokemon, so speed tiers are going to get kind of crowded. But, you know, it's still a good speed tier to be in nonetheless. It's fast. As you can see here, there's a detailed guide for speed tiers as well as, again, all of these moves. That's the last thing I'll say is, again, I really do implore you to check out the description down below. And also, if you're new here and you listen this far in, definitely hit the subscribe button. I'm assuming most of you are already subscribed if you listen this far, so I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Make sure you drop a like and leave a comment down below. That would be helpful for the algorithm and everything. So, I'm gonna leave it off there, honestly. Again, 2 great Pokemon here, Roselia and Roserade are both great. Just depends on what you want to evolve into, or if you want to run one or the other. Personal preference. Your other teammates, whatever it may be, you know, you can always do things your own way. So that's about it. I'm gonna leave it off there. Thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.